Welcome back to the Outdoor Experience with Dale Helgeson. I have the pleasure here at the Milwaukee Sports Show of spending some time with two-time Bassmaster Champion John Crews. Thanks for joining me, John.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me over.
So, John, you know, a lot of guys don't get to, the fans especially, don't get to learn who we are as people, right?
Right.
So, I want to go back into your past a little bit, and let's bring up how you got into fishing.
So I grew up in Virginia, and in Virginia, there's a lot of, grew up in the middle part, a lot of ponds, you know, kind of on various properties. Well, in my backyard, there was a pond. My dad didn't fish, my mom didn't fish, and then there's this pond. So people would come over and they would fish, and I was just all into it. I mean, I'm talking from the time I was just 4 or 5 years old. I loved it, and I can vividly remember, probably in like the 7, 8 year old range, I'd been catching a bunch of the little bluegill, and then I hooked about, at the time it was probably a 3-pound bass, and I thought it could have been a potential world record, is how big I thought it was. So when I caught that fish and it was jumping and doing all this stuff, I was just like, I was hooked. I was like, that's it, I'm done. I want to catch more of these.
Yep, I have a similar story. The first time I really walleye fished was in South Dakota. I spent the summer with my godparents, lived out there, and I was fishing Lake Oahe.
Yep.
And caught a 28-inch walleye, and it just kind of suckers you in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 28. That's a big fish.
So it lured me in, and that hooked me on the walleyes, right? If you pick a species, that's what lured me to walleye, because I fished the National Walleye Tour, and you fished PASS. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to, and then so, you know, like, the older I got, I wanted to go to different places. I wanted to go to more ponds. I wanted to go to rivers. I wanted to go, you know, open up Bassmaster magazine. I want to fish there. I want to fish Okeechobee and Santee Cooper and all these places. And I did. You know, when I was a teenager, I went to all these places, and it just kept like getting entrenched in me. That I just loved it. I just loved every facet of it.
That's pretty interesting. You actually got to fish all those as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't get that opportunity to really branch out and do that many different places of quality.
Yeah.
Right? You may hit local lakes, but to go to all those quality lakes, it's pretty rare, which is awesome.
When I was 12, 13, 14 years old, every spring break, you know, my parents would ask me, like, what do you want to do on spring break? Like, hell, I want to go to Santee Cooper. I want to go to Lake Okeechobee. I wanted to go to those places. Yeah. And that's what we didn't go to Disney World. The heck with that. We went fishing to like destinations, and that was just so awesome. Yeah. And after I graduated high school, I went to Benville Plantation, because that was one of those world-renowned private fisheries that you had to pay to go to. Went to that place. I caught, at the time it was my PB, it was a 9.2. I just, you know, that was right after high school, and I was eat up with it ever since.
So what is your personal best?
Now it is 11.2.
Where'd you get it?
St. John's River. On the St. John's River, I caught an 11.1, and on the Harris chain, I caught an 11.1, and then on the St. John's River, I caught an 11.2. Those are my two biggest bass.
Which are incredible bass.
Oh yeah.
So what got you having to take your vacations and go to destination fishing locations?
Yeah.
You can see where it's progressing to drive you into the tournament world.
Right.
So were your parents supportive of you going to the tournament world?
Definitely. My dad, when I was in college, I played sports all through high school, and then when I got to college, I didn't play any sports. I just didn't want to commit to one thing year round, and I really wanted something that was going to scratch that competitive itch. Yep. And so I really started getting more serious about tournaments. I dabbled with tournaments in high school, and they were fun, but then when I got to college, I wanted something to do a little more serious, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll take the tournaments a little more serious. So I did. After about 2 years, about the halfway through college, I started doing pretty good in the tournaments. I was starting to get checks in like every other tournament. Like I felt like I was going to catch fish every time. And then about halfway through college, when that happened, I thought, you know what, maybe this is something that I want to do as a career. Like, this would be really, really cool.
So, and you know, we're friends on Facebook. I follow you.
Yeah.
you know, and you have these missile baits now.
Right.
So what made you progress into that realm?
Well, even when I was in college, you know, and knew that I wanted to do the tournaments full time, I was figuring that the tournaments would open a door in the fishing industry to do something else.
Yep.
The most obvious thing back then was the TV shows. You know, your Jimmy Houston, your Hank Parker, Bill Dance. Like, they utilized the tournaments in order to have very successful, long-running television shows. So I kind of I was like, maybe that'll be it. After a couple years of fishing on full time, I thought, nah, I don't know if that's what I want to do. I just didn't think that's the direction I wanted to go, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Well, then a few years later, I thought maybe I want to do something in the fishing lure side of things. I was working with the Spro Corporation, and I still do, about designing baits, marketing them, and helping sell them. And I thought, I want to do that in soft plastics. So then I started Missile Baits. It's 11 years ago now.
So where did you start Missile Baits? Was it just at home in your garage?
No, it was like a full-time legitimate business. When we opened up, I started with one full-time employee, and then 3 months into that, when we started selling the lures after that, we started with 2 full-time employees plus myself. So we started with essentially three employees right out of the gate, because I wanted to create an entity that could run while I'm fishing tournaments. I didn't want to have to count on my wife to fill orders or to do anything like that. I wanted the employees to be able to do that. So I hired a guy that was really good on like the IT, video, graphic, all that stuff, and he was a guy that I'd already been working with. And then I hired somebody that was in the banking industry for a while. So her attention to detail was fantastic. So she would fill the orders and handle all the business, the transactional stuff. And that's the way we started. We ran like that for about 6 years until we had to expand from there.
So will you be venturing out into the walleye plastics?
I don't know anything about walleye, other than I accidentally catch them, and that's about all
this
I
little
know.
bait here from Missile Baits, and what is this called?
That's the bomb shot. The little bomb shot. That little drop shot bait.
These things would work good on a jig.
I have a little 3.5 inch swim bait called a Shockwave.
Oh, yeah.
I've caught more walleye on that than any other bass bait I've ever thrown. I don't know why, they love that little, just on a ball head jig.
Yep.
I've caught, I don't know, I've not caught a ton. I've caught 50 of them at least on that lure. That's more than any other lure.
Could be another avenue for you for making some walleye plastics.
Okay, all right. I'm curious about the crappie business, because there's a lot of crappie fishermen and they use a lot of plastics. Now I would be curious to get more into the walleye stuff. I just need to do it more to kind of understand the market a little bit.
All right, well, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Dale.
Getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit about your company, as well as your fishing career, which is always exciting to be around somebody that's won Bassmaster twice.
Yeah.
Which is a feat. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back.
Come on down with me, get your fishing line. We'll be doing all the fun things that cause us to be losing track of time. Come on down with me, grab your rod, you'll find maybe in a little bit we all gonna be doing just fine. Hey, what you doing? Got a head for the dough. Well, we don't have to slave for Uncle Sam no more.